As many as 1 in 5 voters have gone to the polls before the official start of this weekend's Super Saturday round of by-elections. Thousands turned out today across 5 seats, including Longman in Queensland. Let's go live to our reporter Ash Stevenson, who's at one of the Longman polling booths at Dacabin State High School. Ash, who was campaigning today?
Malcolm Turnbull came straight here to Longman today. Jess, this seat really is shaping up to be a gloves-off battle in its final hours. It's such an important one for both major parties, and today we've seen candidates making a last-ditch attempt for votes. But Bill Shorten was absent from campaigning. He's saving himself for tomorrow. With more, here's National Affairs correspondent Greg Jennett.
History belongs to those who show up.
How are you going? Tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Candidates don't get a choice, but leaders are optional, sometimes BYO. And for Pauline Hanson's man in Longman, unreliable.
You just fell over.
Matthew Stevens' leader has cut and run to Europe.
I think she's got some sea legs, but she'll be all right to come on polling day.
So a cutout's as close as the 10 to 15% of One Nation voters will get to the senator in a seat where a third of votes have already been cast.
That's the most important decision you make in your life.
And the two-thirds who haven't decided
I'm sorry, Malcolm.
are being hounded like there's no tomorrow.
No, Bill's in hiding today.
I agree with you. I'm sorry, Malcolm.
Malcolm Turnbull's made his 6th but not yet final campaign dash to Longman.
History and the odds are against us, but it is close.
Lost for understanding why he's the only leader there.
Right now, Bill Shorten is the missing man. I understand Anthony Albanese might be prepared to stand up today.
I think it's very hard to argue that Bill Shorten hasn't been campaigning.
The risk of a lost Labor seat or two is already raising the inevitable what-if questions.
How tenable is Bill's leadership?
You know, that's a hypothetical, isn't it? Bill is the leader. Bill will remain the leader.
But Mr Shorten goes back to Tasmania for polling day, his 13th visit to Braddon and his 30th day of by-election campaigning.
Strong plan for Braddon.
The Liberals' Brett Whiteley's within striking distance of resuming a parliamentary career doused by the last election.
If I'm humbled enough tomorrow to be elected, I will deliver.
Up to 500,000 voters will have done their duty by tomorrow night, but the consequences of their decisions will be processed and analysed for months. These by-elections double as a snapshot of the national political mood, but not across all 5 seats. The 2 in Western Australia are near certainties for Labor, and the Liberals have all but conceded Mayo in South Australia's a lost cause.
Sally Stubbs.
Georgina Downer's homecoming's been awkward.
I've always thought I was the underdog. I'm running against someone who is basically an incumbent.
Signs are voters are looking past the prospect of the dynastic Downer in favour of a crossbench dynamo.
I can get more for my community as a crossbencher than being a backbencher.
If her appeal pays off,
I'm going to get back to work.
she could be back in a job by Sunday. Greg Jennett, ABC News, Canberra.
So how will the numbers stack up on Super Saturday? ABC election analyst Anthony Green has been looking at the data on the possible outcomes.
This Saturday, nearly 500,000 Australians will choose between 47 candidates at 5 by-elections being conducted across 3 different time zones. It's the most federal by-elections ever held on the same day. Of the by-elections, the 2 in Western Australia are attracting the least attention because the Liberal Party have not nominated candidates. In Perth, Labor's Tim Hammond is retiring, the only member not forced out, and he's expected to be replaced by Labor's Patrick Gorman. In Fremantle, a traditional safe Labor seat, Josh Wilson should have little difficulty getting re-elected. More of the interest is taking place further east. In South Australia, in Mayo, Rebecca Sharkey was elected for the Nick Xenophon team. It's now been renamed the Centre Alliance. Her Liberal opponent is Georgina Downer, trying to become the 4th Downer to serve in federal parliament, but Rebecca Sharkey is expected to win. In Tasmania, the electorate of Braddon in the northwest of the state is attracting most attention. It's a traditional swinging seat, changing party at 5 of the last 7 elections. Justine Key won it at the last election, defeating Brett Whiteley, and Mr Whiteley is returning at this by-election to try and win the seat. On the northern edge of Brisbane, Longman, based on Caboolture and Bribie Island, was won by Labor's Susan Lamb for only the second time the party had won the seat in 2016. She partly won on One Nation preferences, but this time One Nation are directing preferences to the LNP's Trevor Ruthenberg, making it much tougher for Labor to hold the seat. If Labor loses either seat, it will be the first gains by the government off an opposition in nearly 100 years. The swings at by-elections are normally against the government of the day. So if the government gains seats, it will put pressure on Labor leader Bill Shorten.
And tomorrow night, our coverage of the Super Saturday by-elections begins at 6 o'clock, live on the ABC News channel.